What's up, Schefty?
Hello there, Rich. How you doing?
I had to call you up. What gives? What's this all about? What can you tell me?
Well, I'll say this. Since we reported the story this morning, I think a lot of people have said, was he forced out or did he resign? I think it's very clear he resigned. And I think it's very clear that he and Mike Zimmer had some philosophical differences on the direction of this offense. And I think it's very clear that Norv Turner was near the end of his career. And here's where I'll make an assumption. Probably doesn't take kindly to suggestions when he's considered one of the best offensive coordinators in the game and has a pretty he's doing out there. I don't think anybody but being told what to do or when they had the type of experience that he does. I think you keep an open mind, of course. But somewhere in there, when you're near the end of your coaching career and you know you don't have much time left and there are different ideas about how the offense should run when you've got your ideas, at some point you probably just say, I don't need this anymore. You'll notice today Mike Zimmer, I think, tiptoed around a lot of different questions, didn't provide many specifics on the answers, and I think all of us are still left to wonder exactly why this came down. I don't think we've have gotten the explanation, the real explanation as to what happened. But I'm surmising, again, to think that there was some type of disagreement between the two, that Norv Turner just said, not worth it, don't need this. And I think part of the reason he took that job anyway was to be able to work with his son, Scott Turner, had done it since 2014. And ultimately, in the end, after he had some discussions with Mike Zimmer, he said, I'm going my own way. I'm done with this.
So,
and
what would the philosophical differences be? What with all those injuries that were suffered and Sam Bradford coming in 8 days, and it worked so well for the first 5 weeks of the season, Adam. I mean, how did it go south so fast?
It's a great question. You know, somebody asked me this morning, I said, well, this offense was a disaster. I said, oh, that's very easy to say right now over the last 2 weeks. But for the first 5 weeks of the season, we were saluting this offense and the job everybody was doing, talking about what a perfect fit Sam Bradford was for this offense. So what's the truth? And I don't know what Mike Zimmer wanted to do. I don't know what Norv Turner imagined that he was continuing to insist upon his own path. But the way it was described to me this morning, Rich, when I got the initial text, was this had been, quote-unquote, brewing for a while. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's something like they lost the last 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, Mike Zimmer said, we're going to run the ball more. And Norv Turner said, no, we're not, or we're going to take shorter drops, or we're going to get rid of the ball faster, or whatever he said. I really don't know that. But I don't believe it was some sudden incident today or a build-up over time with a coach who was nearing the end of his career, who ultimately in the end said, I don't need to do this anymore, and I'm not going to do this anymore. Whatever drove him to that.
Adam Schefter joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, man, how do you surmise this is going to work? I mean, I guess it helps in the fact that Shermer is there and he coordinated Bradford in two different places before, so I guess that helps.
You know, Rich, look, think about it this way. This is the fourth offensive coordinator change we've seen. We're halfway through the season.
Right. 4 of them.
But the difference here is that you don't see an offensive coordinator on a first-place team go away from the game like that at that moment. Like, that's what's new. Greg Olson gets fired? Okay, we could see Jacksonville underperforming. Greg Roman gets fired? We could see that. Mark Treston fired him. They're all still jarring on the surface when you first hear about them. But this one is especially so because you're talking about one of the most respected offensive coordinators and minds in the game, and you're talking about a first-place team, and you're talking about a guy whose son coaches on that staff, and you're talking about a team that for 5 weeks was the best in the show. And now it just seems to be coming apart.
Well, what about the I guess whispers that the trade deadline came and went, and that might have had something to do with it too? That Norv was hoping for something or was advocating for something, and it didn't happen because that offensive line needs some help, and nothing happened.
I'm not going to tell you that's not it, Rich, but I don't buy it.
Okay.
Like, how many times do you see an offensive coordinator be vociferous that we need some? Like, get this trade done or I'm walking.
Right.
Like, that doesn't sound very logical to me. Now, everybody knew that they needed some offensive line help, but the fact of the matter is they're about $650,000 under the cap. They don't have a lot of flexibility. They already traded 1 and a 4 to Philadelphia for Sam Bradford, so they used up their ammunition there. They have limited ways to go out and go acquire an offensive lineman, particularly when the 49ers are adamant we're not trading Joe Staley, and the Browns wanted a king's ransom if they ever were going to even entertain the idea of trading Joe Thomas. So who are you trading for? What are you going to get? What's the cost? You don't have much room. You don't have much picks. So I am skeptical of the idea that Norv Turner walked in this morning and said, we didn't get an offensive lineman at the trade deadline, I'm done.
The one and only Adam Schefter joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So while I have you here, let me hit you on a few things. Where did the Jamie Collins trade come from? Our friend Lombo from back in the day, Michael Lombardi, is tearing him down, tearing him apart right now. For the most part, saying he was a freelancer, not as good as you could think, and we all think that that's straight from Belichick's mindset. What do you make of this trade, Adam?
Well, Michael knows Bill's thinking as well as anybody, first and foremost. But I think there's a lot of things here. I'll say this to you, Rich. About 3-4 weeks ago, after the Patriots played the Browns, someone sent me a video replay of one play, and they said, watch this guy, Landon Roberts, blow up Joe Thomas. And I watched the play, and Landon Roberts, a rookie 6th-round draft pick out of Houston, charged into the line and literally knocked back and down Joe Thomas. Like someone chopping down a big tree. And I said to myself, wow, that's impressive to see. And then when I got a message that Collins was being traded on Monday, I came in and Louis Riddick, who's an analyst at ESPN, was watching some tape, and we were watching the Buffalo game, and Landon Roberts was doing the same thing there. So now we have the element of the fact that they never were going to re-sign nor franchise Jamie Collins. So he's walking at the end of the year. Okay? And that was inevitable, I think, from the time that Von Miller numbers were floated over the summer. I don't think that there are bill contract talks between the two sides. Another factor. Number 3, Patriots defense struggling. Just not playing like itself. Not making big plays. And Jamie Collins playing in a diminished role on a Patriots defense that's not producing as much. Mm-hmm. And then when you look on Sunday, he was off the field when the Bills' fullback was on the field. So they didn't even view him as a 3-down player. So I think when all of that is happening, you got a young linebacker you want to get on the field, you got a guy you're not going to be keeping, you got a defense that's declining, and you got a team offering a 3, get the guy out of here. Let's go. We're moving on.
Adam Schefter.
Bill Belichick thinks.
Sure. Adam Schefter. Check him out on NFL Insiders, 2 p.m. Eastern every Sunday on Countdown at 11 a.m. Eastern, going up against one of the greatest shows on television.
There you go, Rich.
So let me ask you this, Adam. Big Ben, you think he's got a shot to play this week?
Well, let me say this to you, okay? Mm-hmm. Last week, I was told it was...
Uh-oh.
And now, spoke to a couple of different people. They felt that way. Mm-hmm. On Monday, there was a report that he's expected to start against Baltimore. So I called a couple more people.
Okay.
And one of them said, still think it's unlikely. Another said, look, this is going to go down to the wire. He's going to take this down to Saturday. We'll hear all kinds of talk during the week about whether he can. And I think in the end, the Steelers are hopeful, but still have no idea whether he's going to be able to go on Sunday. Ben doesn't know right now. I'm going to lean on one guy that told me he thinks it's unlikely, and I'm going to lean on the initial medical report that Mort got that it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks, as tough as this guy is.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess,
and as much as he wants to be out there against Baltimore, my guess, I would say 55-45 he doesn't play. I hate to put numbers on it, but I just think more likely he doesn't play, but I won't be shocked if he does it all.
Last one. How does Jerry Jones play this one out here, man?
This is game over. This is game over. This was game over weeks ago.
What do you mean?
And it's great fodder for us to talk about. Mm-hmm. I agree. I love it every time it comes up. But it's done. Guys, 6-1. They're in first place. Got the support of the team. It's a dynamic, dangerous offense. Tony Romo has been a great player for a long time, and he still has great value to the Cowboys because this is a franchise that knows how important it is to have two quarterbacks when it didn't have two quarterbacks throughout the course of Tony Romo's career. And at some point, they may need Tony Romo if Dak Prescott gets hurt. But unless he gets hurt, there's nothing to discuss right now.
But why does he keep saying, Dak has got the heartbeat of the team, but Romo is still the guy? I mean, why didn't he just come out and say Dak's the guy, and when Romo's healthy, he's backing up? Why does he like just all of us talking about it? Is that that's what he likes?
Rich, it's sort of like this, I guess. When you're near and dear with somebody, you wouldn't come out. Sometimes, you or me in a personal situation might be the last to see. Everybody on the outside could see it, but he's too inside the picture to see the frame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going on. It's a very delicate, sensitive matter for a guy that they have great affection for, who's made a tremendous amount to that franchise and still does. So you're not going to just come out and say, well, Dak's right. You don't have to. Why do you have to do that? Tony's not even ready to play yet. Dak's going to keep playing. They don't have to make any proclamation that Dak is our starting quarterback going forward. They don't have to insult the guy that they really care about and really like, who's meant an awful lot to that franchise, who stuck his body. There's no reason for that. We want them to do that. You want them to do that, but they don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can discuss it. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Unless Dak gets injured, it's his job.
Love it, Adam. Love talking to you. I miss you. I miss you all the time, man.
I love talking to you, Rich.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.